Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been let down? Have you ever let somebody else down? I don't know about you. I've been let down many, many times. And unfortunately, I've let a few other people down in my life. In this video, I want to share with you about being let down and give you some tools to help you to navigate through the waters when you feel let down. I'm going to share with you two personal experiences, and then I will share with you at the end of the video what I think is the most important tool you'll ever have for helping you to avoid being let down. So this is Old Mike, old me, living better. You know my motto by now: if you ain't dead, you ain't done. Guess what? I got my new merch store set up. Here's a shameless plug. If you go to the description, you can get these stickers. You can get t-shirt, sweatshirt, bunch of stuff. And that helps support the channel. So when I was about 8 years old, my father obsessed over me walking pigeon-toed. If you don't know what that is, that's when you walk with your toes are in. And I don't know. I'd been doing that for a year or so. I don't know where it came from, but it was just there, right? And so one day he said, "You know, Mike, if you can not walk pigeon-toed, I'll get you that hoppy outfit you want." Hoppy outfit. Some of you don't know what I'm talking about. That's Hopalong Cassidy. Man, I love Hoppy. And so I wanted a Hoppy out, the hat, the guns, the black shirt, the whole 9 yards. So I worked for 4 or 5 months working on getting rid of walking pigeon-toed. One day my mom turned to me and said, "Hey, look, you're not walking pigeon-toed anymore." I ran to my dad and I said, "Hey, Dad, look, I'm not walking pigeon-toed. Can I get my hoppy outfit now?" And he turned to me and said, "Nah, you're too old now." What a letdown. What a letdown. A little kid, 9 years old, doesn't understand that. Thankfully, my grandparents, who lived a couple of doors down, stepped in and they bought me my hoppy outfit. But that was one of the first letdowns that I can remember. Now, fast forward until I'm in my late 30s, early 40s, somewhere in there, and I have my own family. I've got my wife and 2 kids, and I just, I thought I was doing pretty good. One day, my daughter said to me, "Dad, you really let me down. You said we were going to go to get an orange Julius yesterday after school, and you never did." Well, it got me thinking, and so I had the bright idea that at night I announced to my family, I said, "You know what I want you to do? I want you guys to all write down the promises that I've made to you that I never fulfilled." I'm thinking, I'll maybe get 2 or 3 on each page, maybe. So the next night, they presented me their sheets of paper. Oh, my word. It was unfulfilled promise after the other. Each of them had 25 to 50 on their list. I sat there and I looked at that list, and all of a sudden, I had an epiphany. I realized that me being let down by my father, and I determined I wasn't going to let people down in my life as I grew up. I was doing the same thing. I was letting other people down. I was letting my family down. So I made a decision that day that set in motion something that's taken place over the last 35, 40 years or so. My decision was, to the best of my ability, I was never going to let somebody down. Now, the problem is not so much me letting people down as when other people let me down. That's where I really have difficulty. And that's the heart of what I want to talk about in this video, is when other people let you down. So I'm going to share with you what I think are the 2 main secrets to managing being let down. The first one is one that I've practiced for many years. I started out as Mike's 24-hour rule. And my 24-hour rule is when I get an email or somebody says something to me that is offensive. The problem is that our feelings are not a choice. We just have our feelings. Now, but my behavior and my reaction is a choice. I discovered Seneca, the father of Stoicism, back in, I don't know, 10 BC, something like that. And his Stoic philosophy is very, very simple. It is that you cannot control other people. You can't fix people. You can't control them. The only thing that you have control over is what's in your own sphere. You can only control your reaction to things. You only control your own behavior. You can't control other people. So my 24-hour rule worked pretty good for years, and then it kept getting narrower. It got down to the 1-hour rule for me. And as people would let me down, I would never react for at least 1 hour. I know I would stuff it, but I can't tell you how many times that rule really helped me. Then I discovered a book that I've been diving into over the last year or so by Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins. She's a wonderful author, and she has this book called Let Me. And she has this book called Let Them. It's a wonderful book. In other words, when people let you down or people do not do what you think they should do, they do not live up to your expectations. And by the way, that's a major problem. The expectations I put on people, I'm going to be naturally let down because I put higher expectations on other people than I even put on myself. But Mel Robbins says that when I'm confronted with these circumstances and things in my life that I want to change, that I want to fix, she says, I made a decision, just a 2-word decision, let them. And step back. I'm giving over to that person the consequences of their own behavior and their own actions. Now, this is critical because it shifts the energy and the power. When I'm totally obsessed with the people that are letting me down, I'm giving them my energy. I'm giving them my power, my strength. By letting them, I take back my power and my strength. Mel says that the source of power is not in managing other people. Source of power is not in managing other people. It's in managing my own response. Another author that I will talk about in a future video, Simon Sinek, wrote the book Why, wonderful author. He says this, he says that replace judgment with curiosity. In other words, when I want to judge somebody, instead of judging them, open up a window in your heart for curiosity. Why are they doing what they're doing? What's going on in their life? Become curious about what they're doing and why they're doing rather than judging what they're doing. So Robbins, in her book, she simply says, do not let others' behavior bother you. Do not let other people's behavior bother you. Now, that's pretty hard to do. I got to admit, I got family members, I got friends, I've got coworkers, I got people, I got governments that really, really bother me. Yet Mel says, let them. And don't let that bother you. But she has a follow-up question or statement that is critical. And that is, let me. She says, let them. But then she says the next thing that immediately must follow is let me. In other words, you take responsibility for what you're going to do next, for what you're going to say next. You're going to take responsibility for how you're going to behave and how you are going to react. So I'm going to take responsibility for my attitude. I got my ox and pine notebook I'm working from here this morning. I'm going to take responsibility for my attitude, my behavior, my values, my desires, everything that is about me. And I'm not going to give that power to somebody else by obsessing on being let down by them. Now, are we ever going to be disappointed? Of course we're going to be disappointed. Are we going to feel being let down? Yes. But now when I have the feeling of being let down, I practice old Mike's 1 hour rule. It started out being the 24-hour rule. I practice old Mike's 1 hour rule, and I adjust, and I love adjusting. Now Mel doesn't like the 24 hours. I think she in her book says you got 5 seconds to make that decision. If you don't make that, if you don't say let them in like 5 or 10 seconds, you're dead, because you probably will react and you will not make the situation better. Matter of fact, you'll make it worse for the other person and worse for you. And this is very challenging, I got to tell you. So I encourage you to get Mel's book. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description. If you have any difficulties in ever being let down and dealing with these kinds of issues, get her book, read it. There's a lot more there, because she goes into the family issues. What if your spouse or your loved one has an addiction problem? All the different things that we feel that we're obligated to do something about. She goes through all of that. It gives great examples in how to react in a way that leads to healing, that leads to relationship, that leads to freedom. The most important thing is that when I become obsessed after being let down, I've given my energy away, then I can't think. I can't respond. I can't do the things that are the purpose of my life. So I think back to my dad. I've made peace with my dad. He had a lot of flaws. And yet, after he was gone, I sat down and I wrote a love letter to my dad. This was years after he had passed away. And in that love letter, I forgave him for the times that he let me down. By the way, that was not the only time. There were a lot of times that he let me down. By sitting down and writing this letter to him, even after he was gone, it took a burden off of me. As a matter of fact, I didn't write that letter until I realized how much I had been letting my family down by not fulfilling my promises. Now, do I keep all of my promises? Probably not, but boy, I tell you, I really work on them. The best way to work on keeping promises is not make them. No, I'm serious. If you don't say, hey, I'm going to meet you over at the restaurant at 6 o'clock, don't say that. I'll get there when I get there. I hope I'll get there. I really moderated the way I make promises to people after going through this process over the years. Now I'm 81 years old. I started my YouTube channel when I was 80. But I want to get done and finish well. I would hope after 80 years I get some of these things figured out. I'm hoping if you're younger and you're watching this video that some of this will resonate with you. I had to struggle through so much of this. I'm so grateful and thankful for the many books, the people who have spoken into my life. I didn't have that when I was 30 and 40. It's an opportunity for all of us to grow. So thank you for watching the video. Remember, if you want to get some of the merch, it's down in the link below. I mean, in the show notes description. If you want to buy me a cup of coffee, support the channel, I'd welcome that, of course. But I hope to see you in the next video. This is Old Mike, Old Me, living better. See you next time.